All right, so we need to get our ingredients. So I assume you guys are in your kitchen. So make sure you have all of these things, okay? And if you're missing something, sometimes there's substitutes or sometimes there might be some stuff at your house. So just ask, okay? Or you can put it in the chat. So you need to make sure that you have flour, right? So just so you know, those if you got bags and supplies from me, it's not pre-measured. You're gonna have to measure it out, okay? With your measuring cups. So make sure you have your flour. So I have my flour in a big bag right here. Rosie, oh yeah, that's how Rosie says she has to take all the pans out the oven. Yeah, we make sure we will prep your oven too. Don't worry. I'm sure a lot of you guys could relate. They like yeah, Latinos keep their pans in the oven a lot. My grandma would do that. So make sure you have flour. Make sure you have your sugar out. Make sure that you have your baking soda. Again, if you picked it up from me, it's like labeled already in this like little thing in your bag. So your baking soda. Make sure you have your salt. Make sure you have your cinnamon. Make sure you have your vanilla. Make sure you have your, so you could use yogurt. You sell it, like if it expired 2 days ago, it's not open yet, it's fine. Trust me, things that are expired, especially if they're closed, they're always good for a couple days after. So you could use yogurt, or if you have crema in your house, like it could be like Mexican crema, or it could be like sour cream. That's fine too. I don't have yogurt, so I'm using this. Make sure you have your 2 eggs. And the chocolate chips are optional, but you could definitely have those as well. Make sure you have your oil. And again, any kind of oil is fine. If you have corn oil, canola oil, vegetable oil, all works. And your bananas. So these were the same bananas that you guys had. I got them at the same time. So your bananas should probably look like this if you're using mine. If your bananas aren't mushy, you could put them in the microwave for like a couple minutes to get them mushy, but we'll get there, okay? And then you should obviously have, you need two bowls. And again, if you have like a kind of smaller bowl or a bigger bowl or a pot, that's fine, whatever you need to do to mix. You need like a spoon. You need your muffin tin. So I have my tin here. If you didn't get cupcake liners from me because I ran out, or I think I gave some, I had like a stack of 100. I must have given somebody like 50. If you don't have these, that's okay, don't worry. You could put like a little cooking oil, or you could put like some butter or like some spray in your muffin tin so it doesn't stick, so don't worry. So make sure you have that too. Make sure you have your measuring cups. The cups are the big ones. And then make sure you have your measuring spoons, and your spoons are the little ones, okay? And then lastly, to make sure that we're ready before we start, and at any point you could say like, wait, I need a minute, or I'm confused, I need more time, anything. Yeah, any kind of oil. So you guys probably in your house probably have some sort of oil like this. If you got some from me, it was like in a plastic bag, but yeah, like corn oil, canola oil, vegetable oil, any kind of oil works. And so then also you need to make sure, that was like on a phone, I was like, switch screen. You have to make sure that your oven is preheated, okay? So first you gotta check, are there any pans inside? I took mine out. And so you have to preheat your oven. And so for those of you who bake, you know you do this. So like when you cook, you know, you could just like cook it on the stove, you do it on the spry. Baking is very precise. It has to be yes, right now. So we're gonna preheat our ovens. The reason that we do this is because when you bake stuff, it has to be at a specific temperature. If it's too hot or it's too cold, it'll like mess up what you're baking, okay? But these are banana bread muffins. It should be pretty solid. So we're gonna set our oven to 350. So if you don't know, or you haven't used your oven, you could like ask your family or things like that. But this is the way mine works. I just hit bake and then just make sure it says 350 and just leave it, okay? So spend a second and do that. So 350 degrees, yes. So everybody just spend a second, because the thing is that we want it to be ready for when we put in our muffins, okay? So for right now, the first thing that everybody should do before we mix everything together is you're gonna set your oven to 350 degrees in order to preheat it. So give me that 350. And then as we're baking, and then when we're mixing our ingredients and stuff like that, the oven will warm up. And so when we're ready to put our muffins in, it'll work. So spend a second and do that. All right, so the first thing we're gonna do is we are going to prep our muffin tins. So I'm putting some directions from the recipe into the chat. So we're on step 2 if you're reading along, but I'll also put you in the chat and tell it to you. So we're gonna get our muffin tins ready. So you're gonna get your muffin tin and we're gonna set it aside just so when it's ready to go, we're ready to go. So again, if you have the muffin tins, if you have the muffin papers, just put a paper in. If you don't have a muffin papers, that's fine. Here's a tip. You could get a little, if you have spray, you know, like cooking spray, you could spray a little bit in. I think I have some, let me see. Yeah, here you go. So if you have like a cooking spray, you could spray just a little bit in the side so it doesn't like, stick. Oh, this is old. Or you could get some oil on a paper towel and just like rub it in a little bit. So, it should just be a little bit, right? We're not like coating the bottom with oil. That's why it's better if you put the oil directly on your paper towel and then just like spread it in a little bit. So then it's a little oily, it's a little greasy, it won't stick, right? So think about like if you're heating up like a, you're heating up a tortilla or like a pupusa or something like that on the stovetop, right? If you put too much oil or butter or something, it'll fry it. We don't want that. We just want like a little bit. So also if you have butter, you could use butter, oil, if you don't have the cupcake liner. So you just put a little bit on your paper towel and then you just smooth it in. That's it. All right. So again, if you don't have the liners, you could just go ahead, and since I already put oil in these ones, I'm just gonna leave them without the papers, yeah? So just put a little bit of oil on your paper towel and then put it in. So it might be that, see, if you have one tin, it might be that you have more batter, so you'll be able to make like more than 12 muffins. You'll put, after these muffins come out the oven, you could take them out and then you could fill them again, do the process again. Like that. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna mix together our dry ingredients. And by dry ingredients, I'm putting this in the chat, I mean our flour, our baking soda, our cinnamon in a big bowl. So we're gonna use our measuring cups. So I'm gonna put this, and our salt. I'm gonna put this in the chat, yeah? Okay. So you are going to get your measuring cups. And again, there's no such thing as a stupid question. Some of you might have baked before all the time. You're like, oh yeah, I got this. This is easy. I don't even need this class. Or maybe you're like, I have no idea. I've never done any of these things before. That's fine. So you're gonna need a cup and 2/3 of flour. A cup is the big one. The cups are the big ones. The spoons are like the little ones, like spoons, okay? So you need a cup. Also, if you guys look, I have a different one than you, but yours are, if you got some from me, they're like black and they have like a blue label on it. So you could look at it. So look for the one that says a cup. It'll have a 1 on it. So this is 1 cup. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna scoop my flour. So you could open your baggie, whatever you have, carefully. This might be a little messy. Your parents will be like, oh, you gotta clean the kitchen anyway, right? So you're gonna go ahead and get a cup. So something that's important when you're baking is that it shouldn't be overflowing. It has to be level, so that means it has to be smooth. So a tip that you could do is you could smooth it with your finger to make sure it's even. So go ahead, make sure that it's even. So it should be perfectly 1 cup, right? If it's overflowing, it's too much. It'll mess up the recipe. If it's not full enough, it'll mess up the recipe. Oh, my oven just beeped. That means it's preheated, but we're just gonna chill and leave that until we're ready, yeah? So I'm gonna put in a cup. I have a big bowl, so I'm gonna pour a cup into a big bowl. And then I need a cup and 2/3. So I'm gonna go back to my measuring cups, and I'm gonna find a 1/3. So it's a little bit of math. So this is mine, it says 1/3. No, you leave the oven on, it's preheating. It'll wait for us until it's ready. That's a good question. So you're gonna leave it on, it's preheating right now, it's fine. Even if it's beeping, it's ready, it'll be ready for us. We're gonna spend 5-10 minutes making it and then we'll put the stuff in. So that's a good question. Rosie asked, do I turn off the oven? No, leave your oven on. All right, so next I get my 1/3. Yours will look different. This is my color. And then I'm gonna scoop 2/3. So that means you need 2, right? You leave your oven on, and then you're scooping your flour. Do you have a question, Rosie? So again, make sure it's even. You can use a little finger trip to make sure it's level. If it's overflowing, too big. If it's not full enough, not good. Oh, I just put a cup of flour so far. So we're adding our flour. So a cup and 2/3 of flour. That's it. So I have a third, and then this is my other third. So 2/3. So I did my big one, and then 2 of my thirds. So a cup and 2/3 of flour. And then you're gonna go ahead, and again, we're just adding the dry ingredients. So if you feel good and you wanna go ahead, right? If not, we'll take time, yeah? So I just added my flour to my big bowl. So I did a cup and 2/3. And then now I'm going to add my baking soda. Baking soda and baking powder is very important for baking because that's what makes things rise. Otherwise, your baked goods like your cupcakes, your muffins, your cookies, your cakes will be flat. So we need to add baking soda. It's very important. All right, so we just need 1 teaspoon of baking soda. So I'm gonna get my spoons and I'm gonna read, be careful, not tablespoon. The really big one is the tablespoon. You will F up your recipe. Do not use the big one. It's tablespoon, right? So it's it says it's teaspoon, so TSP. So be careful. Make sure you're looking for TSP. All right, very important. So it should say 1 TSP. Tablespoon has a B in it. That's the big one. Do not use the big one. You will mess up your muffins. Okay. And so make sure you're using the little one. Yeah. So look for the one. It's like for me, it's like the second smallest one. So look where it says 1 TSP, all right? So you need 1 TSP of your baking powder. And if you got the kit from me, it's labeled in a little plastic thing of my baking powder. Oh, sorry, baking soda. Sorry, baking soda and powder are very similar. Yours is baking soda. Sorry if I confuse you, baking soda. All right. And then we're going to add our cinnamon and our salt, and then we're gonna mix it all together. So next, you need 1/4 a teaspoon of ground cinnamon. So the 1/4 a teaspoon should be the littlest one. Remember, we're looking for the TSP. So 1/4 TSP of cinnamon. TSP. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead. If you got cinnamon from me, it's like in a little plastic container. I'm gonna get my cinnamon, and I'm gonna pour in a 1/4 of teaspoon. Cinnamon, pour it in. I think that it's never wrong to have a little extra flavor, a little extra spice. So what you can do is you can add a little bit of extra. So do a 1/4, but you can put a little extra. So if your 1/4 a teaspoon is a little bit overflowing, that's fine. So I like to add a little extra cinnamon just to give it some more flavor. So you could give it a little extra scoop. That's okay. And then lastly, we're gonna add our salt, which if you're not familiar with baking, it might seem weird that you're putting salt into something sweet, but all baked goods have salt, just a little bit, because the salt brings out the flavor. So cakes, cheesecakes, donuts, cookies, all of that has a little bit of salt in it. Even pan dulce, things like that, to make it a little bit sweet, even ice cream. So you're gonna go ahead and you're gonna get 1/2 a teaspoon of salt. So again, read your teaspoons, read your measuring spoons. Look for the one that says 1/2. Make sure that you're careful. Look for TSP. So make sure that it's 1/2 TSP, not tablespoon. Teaspoon, so TSP. And then I'm gonna scoop 1/2 of salt. Salt is one of those ingredients that you don't want a little extra. So I'm gonna make sure that it's nice and even. There's my salt. Then put in 1/2 a teaspoon of salt. So far you should have a cup and 2/3 of flour. You should have a teaspoon of baking soda. You should have a 1/4 a teaspoon of cinnamon. I put a little extra for fun. And then put 1/2 a teaspoon of salt. All right, then you're gonna mix it all up. So get your spoon, and then we're just gonna mix it together. And sorry. It's sometimes hard to see, but don't worry, I have my vaccine. It's sometimes hard to see, like, how do I know that it's mixed all the way? Well, you have cinnamon in here because all the ingredients are white, but the cinnamon's brown, so you should mix it up for like a whole minute just to make sure that there's no clumps of salt anywhere. to make sure that the baking powder is mixed throughout. So we're gonna mix for like a whole minute. Then we're gonna move on to our wet ingredients, and then we're gonna combine, yeah? Again, at any point, if you're lost or you're confused and you have questions, you could DM me or you could just tell the group, okay? So go ahead and mix it all up. So again, we have our flour, our salt, our baking our baking powder, and our cinnamon. So make sure that's mixed up. Mix that a few times for like a minute, just so we know it's all combined and there's no clumps of salt. Yes. Okay, sure. Are you sure? So if you have any questions, again, just ask. All right. So how about when you guys are done? Oh, sorry. Hit done when you're done. Oh, sorry. Yeah, no worries. Just communicate if there's anything. Okay, cool. So when you're done, hit me done. If you're, okay, you still had a thumbs up. All right, cool. So now we are going to move on to our wet ingredients. For some reason, wet ingredients also include sugar. I don't know. That's the rules of baking. So we're gonna go ahead and now we're gonna look at our wet ingredients. And so we're gonna use a different bowl. If you don't have a different bowl for whatever reason, you could use a pot, you could use anything, whatever. It doesn't have to be very big. And so then go ahead and get your sugar. So we need a cup and 2 tablespoons of sugar. So again, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get my cup of sugar. I'm going to scoop it. Make sure it's full. So again, if it's not full enough, that's bad. We want it to be completely even. You know, if you have a hard time scooping, because I know some of you have like those plastic bags too, you could always use a little spoon to help you out until it's like even. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I have my sugar. Again, I want to make sure that it's even. So I'm going to use my finger to kind of spread it out. Cool. So I have a cup. I'm going to pour a cup in my bowl. And then 2 tablespoons. So the tablespoons are the big ones. So it's the biggest one on your measuring spoon. It's the one that says TBSE, SP. So now you could use a tablespoon, TBSP. So you need 2 of them, okay? So 2 tablespoons for sugar. So to my cup, I'm gonna add 1 tablespoon, 2 tablespoons. Now I'm gonna add my eggs. So then you add 2 eggs. So for those of you who have cracked eggs, you should probably know, but if not, that's okay. It happens to the best of us, right? You have to go ahead. All together, 1 and 2 teaspoons. Yes, so all together it is, that's a good question. So all together it's 1 cup and 2 teaspoons of sugar. So 1 cup and 2 teaspoons of sugar. Then you're gonna get your egg. Remember, you know, you probably have cracked eggs before. If not, it's okay. You know, you crack it, not super hard because it'll break, enough to have like a hole in it, and then you kind of put your thumbs in, boom. Here's a tip. If you ever get eggshells stuck in your stuff, you could see it, put your finger in a drop of water because it helps you hold on to the eggshell. Just a little tip. So I'm gonna get my egg, crack it open. Oops, I cracked that weird. There you go. Do I have it? Oh, I have an eggshell. So you could use a spoon if you want. I like a fork. Think about like you're scrambling, you're beating eggs, and you're just gonna try to mix them together, okay? So in the recipe, it uses a mixer, and it says to beat them together for like 10 minutes. We have arms, and our arms can get tired. So I'm just gonna put on a timer, and we're gonna mix for 3 minutes. All right, if you need to take a break because you have no muscles like me, that's fine. Switch my arms. Less than a minute left. Make sure it's nice and mixed together. So I'm gonna get my bananas. I'm gonna get a small bowl, whatever you have, and I'm gonna put my bananas in it. And I'm gonna mash them up. So you're gonna get, it says 3.5 bananas. If I like just to use 4, because what are you gonna do with half of a dead banana, right? So just use 4 bananas if you want. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm going to put my bananas in a bowl. So if your bananas are still super yellow, they probably won't make very good banana bread. And so you could always put them in the oven or put them in the microwave to make them even more ripe. So what we're gonna do is you're gonna peel your bananas, might be a little slimy, and you're gonna put them in your bowl. So I'm gonna do 4 bananas, but if you just have 3 or something like that, whatever, it's fine. So we want our bananas like really mushy, like even like blacker than this. So even though we've had these for like a week and a half, if you got the bananas from me, we need them even more ripe to make sure that they are really good, because you need almost like, honestly, for real, like almost rotten bananas to make good banana bread. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my 4 bananas in my bowl, and I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna put them in the microwave for like 2 minutes so they get like really soft, okay? On mine, so it was like this. You want it like that, even like grosser. But it's okay if they're not super ripe, because you're just gonna put them in the microwave, so it doesn't matter. So you can put them in the microwave. So mine are in the microwave right now for 3 minutes. My microwave just went off. Be careful, it might be like hot and stuff. Oh yeah, it should be juice coming out. Yeah, it should be kind of juicy, because that's what makes the banana bread nice and smushy. So if you look at mine is like kind of juicy. Yours should be juicy. So I'm gonna go ahead and take my fork and I'm gonna mash them. So your bananas should be juicy. So if they're juicy and stuff, that's good. You want to be able to mash them easy. Think about like you're making baby food or something, mashed potatoes. So look at how mine are just coming apart. So you're gonna mash them until they all are like just one big mush. 4 bananas in the microwave for 3 minutes. It should be all nice and juicy. And then I'm gonna go ahead, and once it's all mixed up like this, I'm gonna put it aside because it's hot. I'm gonna let it cool for a second, okay? So once your bananas are all mushed up like this, go ahead and put it to the side. And then I'm gonna go to my sugar and eggs, okay? So the last thing we have to add to our sugar and eggs, so I'll put some ingredients into the chat, is we're almost done. We have 2 more ingredients. So now we're going to add the cream, yogurt, vanilla, and to your bowl. So I'm gonna put this in the chat. So we need 2 tablespoons of your yogurt, your crema, your sour cream, whatever you have, 2 tablespoons. And then we're also gonna add vanilla. Okay, do you have yogurt or anything? If you don't, it's okay. So this is a good question. There's some ingredients when you're baking that you like need, otherwise you'll F it up. There's some that are just extra. If you don't have yogurt or you don't have cream, it won't mess up your banana bread, don't worry. It just makes it like a little like more soft. So for you, Rosie, you could add a little bit more oil, okay? So sometimes in baking, there are substitutes. Like if you ever don't have something, you could substitute it. So if you don't have cream or yogurt, so you could use cream, you could use yogurt, you could use applesauce even if you have that. If not, you could add a little bit. Oh yeah, use the yogurt. Yogurt is fine. You could use yogurt or cream. Yogurt is fine. You could use yogurt. Sorry for confusing you, but there is also substitutes, yeah. So you're gonna go ahead. I gave you guys all my yogurt, so I don't have any. So I just have cream, but you could use the yogurt, that's fine. It's basically, we do want the big one. So get the biggest one in your spoons, and then I'm just gonna scoop out 2. So again, I know it's kind of gross. If you have a little bit overflowing for the yogurt, that's okay. As long as it's not super big, but if it's a little bit over, that's okay. It's just gonna make our banana bread soft. It's okay. Are you able to scoop it at all, or is it too hard? So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna add 2 tablespoons. That was a good question. So you're adding your yogurt or your cream, whatever you have, yogurt probably. You're adding your 2 tablespoons of yogurt to the eggs and sugar, because we're waiting for our bananas to cool. And then the good stuff. So after you've added your cream or your yogurt to your eggs and your sugar, you're gonna add some vanilla. So the vanilla, if you have your own, maybe it looks like this. If not, I gave you a little bottle. So you add 2 tablespoons of yogurt. So 2 of the big spoons. So 2 tablespoons of yogurt, the big spoon. And then we're gonna add a teaspoon of, here, I'll type this in. So 2 tablespoons, that's the big one, of yogurt. And then 1 teaspoon of vanilla. 1 TSP of vanilla. Here I have my yogurt, I have my sugar, I have my eggs, I have my vanilla. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna add my bananas. So you could pick up your banana. My bowl's a little small, so I'm gonna be careful. So I poured my banana mixture in with my eggs and sugar. If you, like my bowl is really small. If it's too small, that's okay. You could like put it in a bigger bowl, or you could just go ahead and pour it all in your big bowl if your bowl's too small. And then the last ingredient that we haven't added yet is our oil. So we need how much oil are we supposed to have? Half a cup of oil. Okay, so again, you could use any type of oil you have. You could use corn oil, you could use canola oil, you could use vegetable oil. All right, so now I'm going to add a half a cup of oil to my wet mixture of all my wet stuff. So I'm gonna get half a cup. You should have half a cup. And then be careful when you're pouring your oil. If I gave you a bag, I'm so sorry. We're trying to get money for our summer program, so I could get you a whole bottle. Sorry, I put it in a bag for you. I was just trying to figure it out. So I'm gonna use half a cup of oil. And this is a time where, like, if you didn't have yogurt, you didn't have cream, you could add a little bit extra, not a whole nother cup or whatever, just like a little glug. So I added half a teaspoon, ready. And when you're ready, you're gonna start slowly pouring your wet mixture into the dry. And you don't wanna like stir super fast all crazy because then the flour will explode everywhere. You could just give it a little fold. You could just stir it kind of slowly, starting in the middle. So that's a good thing. If you start slowly stirring in the middle, it'll start like spreading out to the ends. All right. So because if you just pour it all in at once and mix it really fast, like your flour will go everywhere. So you could give it a quick fold it over. Just make sure that you're slowly kind of mixing it. So I'm gonna mix it all up. It should be kind of lumpy. So don't worry if your batter is like lumpy. It's kind of supposed to be, because those are those yummy bananas that are going to make our muffins really moist. If you're baking something like a cake or cookies, if your batter's lumpy, you did something wrong. But because the lumps are bananas, you guys, okay? So it's okay if it's kind of lumpy. So gently just kind of mix it until you have to make sure that there's no flour at the bottom. So it's good to get your spoon and go all the way down to the bottom. Make sure that there is no hidden little flour pockets. I like to turn my bowl even to make sure that everything's all mixed up. And again, it should be lumpy. So if yours maybe kind of like oatmeal, if yours is lumpy like this and it's like this color, you're right, okay? So again, don't worry if there's lumps in it. Those are the bananas. It's supposed to look like that. It should start smelling kind of good to you. Mine smells good. Okay, all right. So we are done with our batter, you guys. So we are going to put it in our muffin tins, put it in the oven, and then that's it. So I like to use my 1/4 a cup. Can you see? So I like to use my 1/4 a cup. I give it a scoop and I fill it up most of the way. There should still be a little bit left. So I like to use my 1/4 a cup, fill it up most of the way, but there should still be this much, I don't know, maybe a 1/4 inch left. Can you see? So yeah, it should be there should be some room at the top because they're going to expand. All right, you guys got it? So if you have a little bit of drips and stuff, oops, that's okay. But we want to make sure we clean that up because when you bake it, the little drips that are like on your pan will like burn and it'll just like, you know, not smell nice when it's burning. So it doesn't have to be perfect, but I'm getting like a paper towel and napkin and I'm just kind of like cleaning up the big drips. Again, if it's not perfect and there's a little bit left over, it's okay. So again, I have some drips. Oh, look at, I have one right here. I'm just gonna clean up the big drips so it doesn't burn when I'm baking it, yeah? And then if you want, you could add chocolate chips or like Rosie said, you could leave some plain if you want to. Like in my family, some of my family likes chocolate chips and sometimes people like them plain. I didn't give you guys nuts, but you could also add walnuts and stuff too. So I'm just gonna like put like 3 or 4. Again, it's up to you. I'm just gonna put like 5. I put like 5 or 6. Again, you don't have to count it. I put like 5 or 6, a little handful, in the ones that I want to have chocolate chips. So I'm gonna add some, but I'm also gonna leave some plain. So I'm gonna add some, so you guys might have some of these or a little baggie. Get some chocolate chips, thick. These are little, so this will be quick, you guys. This will be like 13, 15 minutes. I'm gonna oven mitt because I don't want you to be like, Miss Gary burned me. And then you could put your muffins in the oven. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna get my muffins because we're in our kitchens baking. So you are going to get your muffin tins once they're ready, and then you're gonna put it in your oven. So I'm gonna bring you guys to my oven. Use a towel if you don't have a oven mitt, and you're gonna put them in. So be careful. Make sure that you put them in and you kind of push it to the middle. All right, so I'll show you mine. So I push mine kind of to the middle. So if it's too close to the top, to the front, it might fall out. So make sure that it's close to the middle. Then you're gonna go ahead, close your oven, and then you're going to set a timer, like on your phone. I know some people use timers on their ovens or on their microwaves. You could just set a timer on your phone. I'm gonna set a timer for 12 minutes. So don't set your timer until you put it in the oven. So I'm gonna set the timer for 12 minutes. Okay, oven. So remember to use your dish towel, your oven mitt, whatever, make sure it's safe. So I'm opening my oven and you could see, oh, it smells so good. You could see my muffins have risen. So a quick tip that you could use to see if your muffins are done is you could get a fork or like a chopstick, whatever, and you could poke it in your muffin. If it's still like liquid, see, look, a whole bunch of stuff came off of mine. If it's still like liquidy, it's not ready yet, okay? If your fork comes out and there's just a little bit on it, it's good. But this isn't ready. So I'm gonna put my muffins back in and I'm gonna just do, not a long time, otherwise they'll be too dry and we don't want that. I'm just gonna put my timer on for 2 more minutes. So again, at 12 minutes, I want you to carefully open your oven, right? And a good way to check if your muffin is done is you could use a chopstick or like a fork, and then you just stab a muffin quickly. If a whole bunch of stuff comes out of it and see my batter's still wet, it's not ready, right? We want it to be like maybe a little bit sticks on it, right? But we don't want it to be like this. This is like liquid. That means it's a little too raw. It's not ready yet, sorry. You could put it back in. So if you check your muffin and they're not ready, I want you to put your timer on for 2 or 3 minutes, not long, okay? It will actually look a little shiny on top. Ooh, mine look good. I think they're ready. So if you see mine, they look a little shiny on top still, but they're not wet. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna do my fork test. I'm gonna stab it. Oops. Ooh, look it. A little bit of chocolate got on it. There's a little bit of crumbs, but they're done. Yeah, so if there's a little bit on your fork, like it's crumbs, that's fine, right? That means that it's soft. Look at the color of mine. The edges are kind of brown, but it's not too dark. I give it a poke. It's soft. There's some crumbs on my fork, but it's not liquid. So I'm gonna go ahead and take my muffins out. If you don't have the paper muffin tin thingy, a good tip to use, I'll add it in the recipe, put a little oil on a paper towel and just smear it inside, okay? So if you ran out of paper muffin thingies, or I didn't give you any because I miscounted, you could get a little bit of oil. You could put it on a paper towel and then just circle the inside of the tin. Just like adding a little bit of oil so it doesn't stick, right? So just add a little bit of oil, smooth it out. So you don't want so much oil, right? We're not frying it. We're not like making empanadas, right? We're just like a little bit. Yeah. Once you're done, if they're warm still, be careful because you could like squish them. Just careful when you're done with them. You could carefully take them out and put them on a plate or something. So I'm gonna grab a plate. So when you're done, I'm gonna just carefully put them on a plate. And then I'm going to go ahead and then you could start the process all over again for baking. So make sure your oven is still at 350. If you're going to make the rest of your batter later, and for the ones that, if you didn't have muffin tins, a tip to take them out is that if you just get a fork and you just gently put it on the side, it helps pop it out.